Have you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die? And can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docu-series is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
That's a good question. I think, number one, it's been about openness and authenticity with myself, because no matter what growth you're going through and your desire for, deepening spiritual growth, I think you have to be honest with yourself. You have to have a desire within yourself to want to see the ins and outs, even the ugly parts as well. So I think for me, the desire to go into those deeper aspects of myself, the more raw parts of myself, have really helped me to get to deeper levels, not only with my work, but just as a human being, as a person, I think. I think I'd be a pretty disconnected person. I think I would be probably a very shy person still, probably a much more fearful person of I guess maybe just the world and my purpose. And when you're living that kind of disconnect, it's just all about you. It's not about what lies outside of you or your connection to anything. It's just you're sort of living in your own world of fear. So I think without the work and how it's expanded me in so many ways, to see beyond myself, I think I would still feel pretty connected to just the human body and pretty connected to, I don't know, just things that don't really matter. And less focused upon a purpose and more focused on maybe the materialistic things. I think about when I was younger, in middle school, I cared much more about the clothes that I wore and my grades and my whatever it was. And now it's so different. It's just about my evolution. It's about being truthful. It's about putting myself out there completely. It's just my values changed once I saw that bigger perspective. I think it's both. I think the bigger mission was originally what I thought this is all about. And through that, really delving into my mission as what I thought would be a global mission, but not only with teachings from God, but just working with people one-on-one, doing readings as well. But it taught me that it's really about me too. And it's really brought to the surface a lot that I need to work on. And I think without that work, it may have taken me a lot longer to really get to the core of some of these things within myself. I think everybody has a life purpose, but these life purposes aren't one thing. They're many things that collaborate together within your life experience. So it can mean many things, but life purpose is really just that grounded spiritual path, I guess, in which you are always devoted to listening to your inner guidance system and following along that way. For instance, music for me is one of them. Art is one of them. Qigong is one of them. You know, there's these different aspects of me that I value, but I would never single them out as one. I think they all connect to my grander purpose. I want to explore my capacity in this lifetime. Since a very young age, I always felt like I was meant to do something. It was just like this inner feeling that I want to be of service. That's the only feeling that I can really put into words about it. And I didn't have a means to understand that. But I remember, I tell this story sometimes, I remember watching the show called Teletubbies. And it's like the opening scene, and there's like the animals like running across the screen. And Vivaldi's Four Seasons was playing in the background, and I remember laying there at my grandma's and I was watching TV and I was listening to this music, and something within me was knowing that I wanted to play that music for whatever that's worth. I was like 4 years old, and that is clear within my memory. And you know, when I was 10, I started playing the violin, and of course, you know, I played that piece. But it, you know, it was moments like that where I recognized that I wanted to give something. It wasn't just about, there was just like a pull somewhere within me that just wanted to give, wanted to be of service. And then that second point of realization was when I met my teacher, Master Chuni Lin, when I was 9 years old. And we had a family healing in this, you know, with this Qigong healer. I didn't know what he was doing. I just was told he was going to make us feel better. And he came in and started doing Qigong for us. And for those that don't know, that's, you know, it's energy work. So he wasn't touching us, but he was moving around and waving his hands around like this. And we were told to just like go into our meditation and you know, do these visualizations. And I'm sitting here peeking my eyes open, trying to see what he's doing. And that was another moment for me where I felt something, and I knew that I wanted something within that experience. I wanted to be like him in a way. And I was 9 at the time. So there was just experience after experience in that sense where there was just moments where something clicked for me. And that was one of them. And I'm still learning from him now to this day. So, but it comes down to service, to help the world to find empowerment within themselves and true spiritual connection, not from a place of anything but, you know, really to help that person, you know, not for me, not for my business, not for anything like that, but really because I care about humanity's awakening. And that's something, a really deep thing for me.
And is that an awakening for your own age group?
Yes, it's an awakening for my own age group, for sure. And that realization came to me more recently when I started having conversations with my friends about my different struggles, my different perceptions, my different concerns and awarenesses about our generation, being a millennial. And I'm almost 22, so I have different friends, you know, in that age group. And just seeing a real commonality in young adults feeling really lost, feeling really disconnected, and me just having this experience of being connected and wanting to share that, you know, has led me to this passion that I want to, you know, I see within people sometimes beyond the pain, beyond the suffering, beyond the lost feeling, I see like something within them that I want them to see. And that's where I want to bring this to my generation, because I want them to realize that. And when they do, it's like the most magical thing in the world. So that's another important part for me. So many things that I've done that I could have never imagined. the first thing was just writing the book in the first place. At the time that these teachings started coming through me, I was 16 and, in high school, and I was still pretty in the closet about the spiritual things that I would do, which at that time really just consisted of, the Qigong work that I did. But nonetheless very deep and very expansive, but I didn't talk about it. But as I, started channeling, I was told you need to put this into a book and share it, and it's going to touch people all around the world, and it's going to grow, and you're going to be here to be a leader in that sense. And there was a part of me that was scared, but the bigger part of me was like, no, but this is you. This is you, and this is really what you need and want. And that came from a deeper place than just this lifetime, I know. But then, as I just said yes to that first thing, then it was one thing after another after that. And the most recent thing for me has been just singing. It's been, starting my own band. And, I did not sing, not even in the shower, until really, I'd say a year ago, barely. But there was a part of me, I was touched by a friend of mine who is a big kirtan artist. Her name is Ragini. And to cut a long story short, that was another spark for me. That was another moment that I awoke to something that I wanted to do. And I didn't know how I would embrace that part, or how I could do it, or if I wanted to even do it. And I just held space for it. And one day I woke up and I recorded myself on my little iPhone, just playing my harmonium and singing along to it. And I posted it on Instagram. And I nearly had a panic attack. I was freaking out about it. And once I did that, and I did feel more myself, and I was embraced by it. And a month later, I had a full band. I did a kirtan, and it was just kind of insane, and it's just taken off since then. But that was like, I kid you not, I was saying to myself, I'll do that in the next life. I was like, there's not even hope for this life. So it really surprised me, surprised my whole family. And what I've learned from the teachings about this, to kind of bring it back to the question, is that we have tools within us that we can utilize, that can help us to grow something within us that we want, that we feel. And it's beyond the education we've had, what we think we're capable of doing. This is like a deep part of us, which we call in the Akashic Records. It's like a deep part of us. It's like a cosmic library, and it stores all of this information, and we can take bits of that out to help us in our current lifetime and experience. So that's what I did, and everyone can do it, and it's cool. I've seen people transform in a lot of ways, and sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's very obvious. I would say more often than not these days, it's little turning points that end up in the end to be a big aha moment. It's not often that someone comes to me and they go, like, oh my God, that opened up an entire universe for me. It does happen though. It does happen. But more often than not, the wisdom that comes through, it just fits so in alignment with that missing piece within them. There was some sort of seeking going on, and it fits in, that piece that they felt was disconnected. But that's profound in itself. And the subtlety is almost, really enjoyable to watch, because It shows people that, you know, spirituality is just real. It's not about the meditations. It's not about the, you know, whatever practices or groups or books or whatever you think that you need. It's really within us, and it can take an hour to really shift some huge things. So I help people to find that active voice within them. My biggest learning so far, that there's never a stopping point in your evolution, that every moment that you think that you've got it, you don't, because it deepens. And you know, any moment that I think that you feel like everything's great and everything's fine and everything is, you know, you get all the secrets of the universe, you're completely missing the point, because it's an infinite well of wisdom. And for me, a really, really important teaching has been that, you know, the deeper I go, the more comes up. And some of that looks like some really human things, you know, emotions and struggles and blah, blah, blah. And people on the outside might see that as, oh, you know, you haven't transcended that yet. And also, it's a really, really important spiritual teaching, you know, to experience all ranges of the human experience and to bring that back into, you know, it's all one in that sense. And there's not a good or bad experience. It's all there for us to, you know, basically take the labels off of our experiences and see them as equal. That's been really powerful for me, like a really, really powerful learning experience for me is, you know, when I see certain things show up for me that I don't like, I've learned to be compassionate about it to some degree. I try. But also that, you know, magic is for everyone. That's the other thing, is that, you know, people come to me and often put me on a pedestal because I'm young and I, you know, have some gift, and that's the story that they have about me. And you must have an amazing family, and people say that as well. And I agree with all that, and then I say, and so do you. And I really, really try to help people come into that place themselves. So, to me, that's how you change the world. I had the drive to put this into my purpose. Could I have chosen to not do it? Absolutely. But, you know, free will. I said, sure, what the heck? And, well, yeah, that was sort of a bigger statement than I just made it sound. But I said, yes, you know, I will do this, and I'll be the conduit for this. And, you know, when I did, it really took off. Because, you know, once you say yes, then more information came to me, more opportunities came to me, and I started integrating myself into these environments where, of course, I felt that I would be received as well. But it's not just me either. It's everyone that chooses to open themselves up, and the difference in vibration and how you bring it through, and how I don't want to say pure of a channel it is, but how the depth of it is you being able to strip down your own filters. And that's the hardest part, and that's what I've learned from, you know, just practice, I guess, is that, well, first of all, I think I've been doing this for a lot longer than, you know, 5 years. But, you know, I think I'm here to help people see the gift that they have within them, and that it's me, but it's really not me. It's really all of us. It's really humanity. I think to put it into really simple terms, channeling is just hooking up with the higher part of you that is connected to source energy. It's just a clear part of you, unconditional love part of you, to put it in simple terms, because it's not about, a certain kind of gift. It's not about a certain kind of meditation practice or anything like that for me. Is that how I got there myself? Yes, that's true. But the way that I see it now, it's, when we recognize that part of us is just there, it's not like a certain process to make it happen. It's just there. It's just easier to get to that receptive place. And now when I work with people, some people don't know what channeling is. They don't know what meditation is even. And yet, do a reading and it opens themselves up. And then they start experiencing this themselves. So that's the power of it. But channeling is just that higher expression of being tuned into our true nature. So our true nature as divine beings, as more than this human body. And aside from that, I guess people can define that as what they want. I just use the term oneness or source energy. The greater wisdom is going to surprise you because, you're just going to tell. For me, when that voice started coming through, the words were dear one and my child and light worker and, sister and, these words and, as forms of addressing me in how I was channeling it. And the unconditional love and the wisdom and the concepts that were coming through were way beyond me. I didn't even have to look up words in the dictionary to figure out what it was, what the message was. But it blew me away. It blew other people away, but it blew me away because, right. So the voice in the head carries judgment. It carries, it overthinks. It analyzes. It has a very narrow view of the world. It can't see past its own imagination, so to speak. It doesn't have any imagination. It can only see from the human lens, from the human bias. Whereas that deeper place of connection sees the grandness of our entire existence. So not just this body, but like who we really are, and as a spirit, as a soul. The mind, the ego are part of our human experience, but that voice is, at any moment that it involves fear or judgment or criticism or is condescending, that's not that voice. And you can simply tell by the way that it feels. If it feels from, a lower place, if it feels from, something that someone would say to you, then no, I would say you can leave that. But I always say, you can discern by just the way that feels. And if it feels, if the message feels empowering, it feels like that unconditional love, and it promotes, it promotes that place of peace and I suppose you just know. It's a feeling. It really is. You can't mistake it if it happens, For me, it was like so clear. Well, if you're getting messages from someone else that supposedly are coming from a place of peace and love, let's say, you get a channeling from someone and it doesn't feel right to you, and yet they're saying that's from your higher self or whatever they're saying. Your discernment within you is the most powerful guidance, the most powerful answer that is available to you. And I've certainly come in contact with those sort of situations where I've been given words that just didn't feel good to me, felt icky to me. And, I simply just let it go. I just said, that wasn't for me. I don't have to internalize that. But these experiences are good in the sense that they train us how to listen to our own bodies. And it's not healthy to just absorb everything that everyone is telling you and take it in as your own truth. It's important to really value your own well-being, authenticity, purpose, direction, enough to listen to that and learn how to. Yeah. My experience of channeling has shifted. Just the evolution is kind of dramatic for me, I think. In the beginning, it was such an immersive experience that, I felt almost in a completely different reality. And that made me very isolated from the world and my family because I couldn't share that experience, I couldn't put into words, I couldn't share that. And I think I felt in the beginning that it was helpful to isolate myself and just to be around people that were weird like me, to be honest. And as I grew into the work, I realized that was, I shifted myself, but I realized that wasn't helpful in moving forward on my mission, which I realized later was about really all-inclusiveness. And so I started really just opening myself up to share my story and to share just me with people, just people, regardless of if they looked like me, talked like me, were interested in the same things as me. And so now to the point that I'm at now, I see this work as including all people, including humanity. And I feel so comfortable and so solid with that point now in my life where somebody can come to me that has no idea what's going on, and I can feel like I want to welcome them in, I want to tell them what it's about, and just have them experience it. And it does work. I mean, working with people privately for the past 5 years and publicly for the past 5 years, thousands of people that I've worked with, and it, just you start to see that, evolution take place, which is that, it impacts people no matter who they are, where they came from, their gender, their age, has no mattering about it at all. Why does it matter? Why do we do it? Because, well, for me, why I do it is because I want to see that shift in the world. And this is my way of doing it. It's my calling. It's not something that I chose in the conscious sense, that one day I woke up and was like, yeah, I want to be like that. I listened to Esther Hicks when I was growing up. Never once did I want to be like her. I just thought it was great. But the moment that it happened to me, of course I knew that I wanted to be like that in my own way. I do it because it fuels me to see people come into their true happiness, fulfillment, empowerment. That's like the best thing for me, like way better than food. Which is pretty good, because I love food. I think I'm just really passionate about this work. Again, I don't feel like I'm driving the boat. I feel like I'm saying yes, and I'm constantly amazed at the direction, but I don't feel like I'm driving it. I feel like this is a mission that I'm following, being graced by, gracing others with. It's like this full circle thing, it has no ego or no label upon me with it, but it feels like I feel honored to do it in a sense, because I still don't feel like it's me. I feel like I'm a big essence of it, but it's so much bigger than me. And I realize that every time I work with people, because me alone couldn't do that. Me alone couldn't do that and provide that experience for people. It's just so fulfilling.
Guru Brahma